jumps on his first trampoline. He's a boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Mail call from the United States of America.
The GI Journal.
This is Kelowna. I'm overseas with the ground troops. We're on a forced march.
A forced march? Really?
Yes, and we're carrying full field packs and everything. We're really loaded.
Don't tell me you didn't get that. That almost got me.
During the war, the United States spent a lot of time and money shipping entertainment overseas. Nobody in America thought that was odd or eccentric behavior in time of total war. The government and the public believed it was important to keep up the morale of the men fighting overseas. So the entertainers packed their trunks with jokes and songs from home and traveled thousands of miles to the war zones.
Mail call from the United States of America. Stand by, Americans. Stand by, servicemen of the United Nations. Here's Mail Call, selected by fighting men as one of the 3 top radio programs presented regularly by Armed Forces Radio. From 64 American expeditionary stations, 140 government-owned and foreign commercial stations, 118 overseas camp radio installations, and from dozens of powerful shortwave stations beamed all over the globe, transcriptions of this program reach every American overseas who can find time to lend an ear.
Microfilm technology helped Americans stay in touch with the folks back home.
Letters from home. Each day, millions of them are sent to American servicemen fighting on distant battlefronts. Because of a war postal system called V-mail, they can be flown throughout the world, reaching distant points safely and with amazing speed. This plane is landing in Italy. Each bag of mail it carries contains 136,000 letters. Back in America, each letter was reduced to a tiny strip of film. Now, near the front, automatic machines enlarge each overseas letter from 16mm motion picture negative to a 4x5-inch print. These strips are dried, carefully inspected, and cut into individual letters. Machines fold them and put them into envelopes. In this one laboratory, over 300,000 letters a day are handled. A complete locator card system takes care of mail incorrectly addressed. In the censorship section, anything that might reveal vital military information is cut out.
Censorship. Most Americans agreed it was probably necessary, and most Americans, like Private Snafu, tried to avoid it.
Dear Sally Lou, this is it. They'll be shipping us out soon. From the equipment, it looks like the South Pacific. This is confidential. So I'm staking this past the censor.
Mail call, Americans overseas receive their letters. Nearly every transport plane that spans the ocean brings its quota of mail. In just a few days, V-mail letters from home reach servicemen in every theater of war.
No army in the history of war ever got so much mail or so much entertainment.
Hello, all you fellas, all over the world. Greetings from the Andrews sisters. I'm Patty.
I'm Maxine.
And I'm Laverne. We're making these bead discs just for you. And along with them, we want to send all our love and kisses.
He was a famous trumpet man from about Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. Then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a growing reveille. He's a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He's a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
Radio shows for servicemen were recorded on film as well as phonograph records for shipment overseas.
The GI Journal. It's the GI Journal.
The jokes were okay for GIs, but the civilian radio networks would have cut most of them.
Yes, sir, it's the GI Journal again, your radio newspaper of the AEF, the paper that prints all your contributions from overseas. Men, on the target range, a bull is a clean hit. Well, here's a man who, while he may not be a hit, is definitely a lot of bull. Your original editor-in-chief, Kay Kaiser.
Well, hiya, men. Well, say, men, it's sure a man-sized help and a pleasure being your editor again. This is your 5-star final, and standing by are your 5-star reporters. So then, of course, our star outside reporter, Professor Colonna, who ought to be calling in with a big story right now. Hello, city desk.
Hello, desk. This is Colonna. I'm overseas with the ground troops. We're on a forced march.
A forced march, really?
Yes, and we're carrying full field packs and everything. We're really loaded.
Colonna.
Of course, some of us are loaded more than the others.
This one is from Whack Magdalene Colas. Roses are red, violets are blue. I know violets are blue because I seen her hanging them out in a line the other day.
And now we present our lovely editor of your letters overseas, Linda Darnell.
Hello there, Kay. Tonight you're going to have a brand new editor for the letters from the men, because I'm leaving on a tour of Army camps overseas.
Oh, no fooling. Well,
Yeah.
tell me, who's the new editor going to be?
Well, she's a very good friend of mine, and she's from MGM, and her name is Lucille Ball. Come on.
Hello, Kay.
Oh, Lucille Ball. I adore you. I worship you. Oh, every beat of my heart is a flame that burns your name in my soul.
Okay, Kay, don't be ridiculous. Well, you just met me.
Hey, listen, a chowhound doesn't have to wait for dinner to be hungry, you know. We come now to another one of your favorites. Hello, young man. I sort of remember you from someplace. You're,
I'm a private sad sack.
Another chapter in our story, the life of Sad Sack. We pick up our story when the Sad Sack was first born. The proud father looks at the tiny bundle and says to the mother,
You're supposed to keep the baby, not the stork.
But the Sad Sack proves to his parents that he is a brilliant child. At the end of his very first year in school, he comes running home with the happy news.
Mama, I got skipped to the next class. They gave me I've been expelled.
This isn't WEAF New York, or KGO Oakland, or KSL Salt Lake City. But to the guys and gals of the Fifth Army in Italy, it's Beni and Hope and Toscanini. It's the way the Army brings the touch of home to Italy.
As this program is being performed in a Hollywood studio, a master recording is made from which transcripts will be shipped to Army and government-operated stations all over the world. Strictly for you men overseas, no matter how small your outfit. And speaking of little things and trivia in general, here's old General Trivia in person. Your commanding officer of this command performance, your old sidekick, and chief scout of the Wolf Patrol, Bob Hope.
Thank you very much. Thank you. How do you do, fellas? This is Bob. This is Bob, Command Performance Hope, telling each Nazi that's in Russia today that Crimea doesn't pay. Here's one of your all-time sweethearts, another command performance for that lovely sweater girl, Judy Garland.
Thanks, Bob. Hiya, fellas. Sweater girls. Bob, why are men so crazy about sweater girls?
I don't know, Judy. That's one mystery I'd like to unravel. Thanks from America to all our men in blue, our boys in khaki too, our tough Marines, our Coast Guard, our Army nurses true. We thank you so much. And thanks to our brave allies, the gallant Russian bear, the British everywhere, the free French and the Chinese, and you Latins way down there. We thank you so much. Fellas, this doesn't rhyme, but one of these days soon we'll be seeing you. And meantime, this is Bob Hope thanking you for those letters to Command Performance, Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Speaking for everybody on Command Performance and saying the best of the best in the USA. So long.
She's on her way, men. From us to you, every week till it's over there.
There were a few truly memorable days, like June 5th, 1944, the liberation of Rome, the first enemy capital to fall. What surprised the Americans most was that their enemies, the Italians, were so glad to see them. Somehow an American sergeant got up onto the balcony where Mussolini used to stand. Then there was Crown Prince Umberto waving from his balcony. There in Vatican City was the Pope. All in all, a good day.
In jungle centers or wherever there's GI life, there's hope, and we do mean Bob. The man with the shovel nose who has traveled over 80,000 miles to keep soldiers happy in highlights of his latest South Pacific tour.
I just want you boys to see what you're fighting for, that's all. Don't tell me you didn't get that. That almost got me.
Went to England and Africa and down the South Pacific and all over the place. And the audience was so sensational. And I said, how long has this been going on?
I bet when I first started, you thought I was going to be lousy, huh?
Most shows for the GIs overseas were informal. The servicemen were happy just to see some folks from back home. Patty Thomas, who toured with Bob Hope's troupe, was always a big hit.
How about Mr. Jerry Colonna, rider?
Oh, thanks all you men dressed in khaki. You may think that I'm a bit wacky.
Why don't you get back in the sacky?
There's room for two. Your nose and you.
How about getting Miss Langford out here to sing a couple of bars again?
Uncle Sammy's crew Minutes are too few. I wish that I could kiss each and every one of you.
You want to get us trampled to death, are you kidding? What's the matter, you blowing your roof or something?
Merle Oberon and Al Jolson went to the war zones to entertain the troops. So did Patricia Morrison. Frank McHugh and Alan Jenkins put on a show. It wasn't 42nd Street, but it was funny. Ann Sheridan went on tour in the war zones. So did Ben Blue. Joey Brown was there. And the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz, Ray Bolger. A GI might run into Jack Benny, or Jimmy Cagney, or Mickey Rooney, or Edward G. Robinson. Even Lily Pons, the opera singer, and Paulette Goddard. Maybe some jugglers from Toledo. Jack Benny, one of radio's biggest stars, gave a series of violin concerts.
Love and Bloom, please. I like those orchestra leaders. You always start out like this. Looks like you're asking a horse how old he is. Wait a minute, just 1 second. I want to... Huh? Huh? Get this, wait a minute. Oh, God, that's beautiful. Ready?
Joey Brown went everywhere.
All they do now, a doctor looks in each ear, and if they can't see each other, you're in. And if they can, you're an MP.
Men who couldn't get to a show could still hear it on Armed Forces Radio.
This is your American Expeditionary Station in the field with the Fifth Army. A radio service for American fighting men and their allies. Radio on Wheels moves to where the entertainment is. And when a songwriter and a movie star make for the front, the mobile station follows right along. Mr. Berlin himself will sing the song that has been inscribed for you fighting men and women of the Fifth Army.
Not the first, not the second, not the third, not the fourth, but the Fifth Army's where my heart is. He's somewhere on a beachhead, which must be lots of fun. I can see him in a bathing suit, basking in the sun. From a cute signorina, he's been learning to talk like a real native of Rome. She's a very tasty dish, but my baby no capiche till the Fifth Army comes home.
And now a touch of beauty is added to our program by Hollywood's lovely Marlene Dietrich. Here she is, lovely Miss Dietrich.
Hello, boys. I want to say that sharing this entertainment with you today is to me more important than doing the entertaining. If morale is kept as high, such as I've seen during my visit here in Italy, I'm certain that we can look forward to a speedy victory. Goodbye, good luck, Godspeed.
For Americans at war, music was a special event.
See what the boys in the back room will have, and tell them I'm having the same. Go see what the boys in the back room will have, and give them the poison they name. And when I die, don't spend my money on flowers and my picture in a frame. Just see what the boys in the back room will have, and tell them I sighed, and tell them I cried, and tell them I died of the same.
Thousands of American women, less famous than Marlene Dietrich, went overseas with the Red Cross.
The soldiers were never expecting us, and so they were always dumbfounded to find out even that we spoke English. We would serve the hot coffee very often. They hadn't had any in a long time. They were all standing around in rows very dejectedly. You had to keep in mind all the time that you were being cheerful and bright and not looking at what might be happening ahead. And that's pretty heart-wrenching.
In Europe and in the Pacific, the Red Cross tried to bring a touch of home to the war front. Sometimes it was hard going. The Red Cross women were not everywhere all of the time, but when they did show up, they helped the men forget the war for a moment or two and remember how things used to be at home. During the war, 140,000 Red Cross volunteers with their jeeps and trucks and trailers handed out 80 million cups of coffee a year, 125 million donuts, and who can count how many smiles? But what meant most to the men overseas was not the coffee and donuts, but just every now and then meeting somebody from back home. The loneliness, fatigue, the yearning to go home grew stronger with each battle the American men survived. Some days it seemed that the war would never end.
I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay.
August 26, 1944, the liberation of Paris. Only 2.5 months after D-Day, American tanks were rolling along the tree-lined streets of Paris. General de Gaulle was back from exile. American soldiers marched up the grand boulevards. The crowds of French people, their faces, all unforgettable. For a couple of million Parisians, the agony of war was over. It was a day filled with images that would linger forever. The young Americans who went off to war were not conquerors or colonizers or crusaders. They didn't want to stay, and they had no interest in teaching anybody anything. But people overseas learned from them. A bit of slang, some bad habits, some new ideas, including the revelation that Americans were not supermen, and the young Americans were not totally resistant to foreign influence. Some took home war brides. Almost all took home some understanding that the world was much older and bigger than the place they came from.